Recently, I saw a very interesting post. It was from a very popular coach that helps women in their relationship. And in that post, she shared one of the feedbacks a woman gave her after applying a suggestion that she gave in one of her recent videos. So, in that video, she gave the suggestion for women to share that video with men, and then in that video she also shared why men should be planning dates, like what are the advantages for men to do so. So in that post, the post that the woman shared, she shared the messages that she had with the man after giving him the suggestion, after sharing the video with him. And he actually responded in the way that was very, very polite. It wasn't really defensive or anything, but he still didn't agree to that. And he also explained it in a very honest place, like why he didn't really feel that it resonated and how he actually felt that suggestion actually made him feel that he either have to do things and provide things for people like planning dates, or he doesn't really deserve to be loved at all, so that he felt like his value, his worth, as if that video was saying that, okay, you plan dates and etc., then you deserve to be loved, which is actually a very valid feeling, and I'm going to explain why. So you see, the problem wasn't exactly that the man wasn't really wanting to plan dates or etc., because deep down he might actually want to do those things if the way of expressing and sharing what the woman really desired was in another format. Because in that format, you see, he might have felt that he wasn't doing something right, and then he got corrected, okay, even if subconsciously, because that's how it feels, honestly. You see, in the past I actually committed this same mistake, which was that I actually, during an argument with my ex-partner, with one of my ex-partners, I actually didn't have the word back then to say what I was really feeling in that moment. But then, as I was reading an online article, it was talking about emotional validation, etc., and how even though you don't agree with someone during an argument, a disagreement, you still can feel validated or invalidated emotionally. So I ended up sharing that very same article with my ex-partner back then. And while he finally understood what I needed, and he actually felt bad for it because he understood the importance of emotional validation. Even when we don't agree with someone, we can still, oh, okay, I understand how you feel, and, showing care for people still. But he didn't like it at all. And, I understand why. It is because he might have felt corrected, that like I used basically authority from someone else, in this case from the article author, to actually, correct him on what he did. And no one really likes to be corrected in that manner, okay? Even if they know that deep down they could be doing something different. And it is actually very similar to, in relationships, one of the very common problems is, for example, a man wanting more intimacy, physical closeness, and women not really, giving that, or like they are just not in an emotional state to feel that closeness, to desire that as well. So what if men also, grab an article or a video from another coach and say, hey, I'm sending you this, and etc., etc. And then in that video, the coach, teacher, mentor, he would be saying, like it's important for women to be intimate with their partners, and because there are so many benefits, the men would feel better, they would feel closer to you, they would cherish you better. Like if you have been through a similar situation, then you would understand how icky it actually feels for your partner to send you something, a video, an article, to actually tell you to do more of something that you are not doing basically in a relationship that they need, that they desire. It almost feels like a demand, a correction, a demand, even if it is subconscious, even if it is subtle. It is that kind of way that it really feels. So, what I would suggest women to do in this kind of situations wouldn't be to do anything like this, of course, but actually do it in another way that fosters more receptivity and not the defensiveness, resistant, the eckiness, and you see, if the woman is in an initial phase, like just getting to know a man, dating, they don't really have an official relationship, then what I would suggest that, okay, the man is showing you what are their preferences, because it is very valid for men to have preferences, because in that post from that popular coach, the man was actually saying that he would prefer a more modern relationship, a more not modern, a more equal relationship. That he also would prefer to for the woman to have the kind of consideration that she would plan things as well, etc., etc. But you see, if the man is saying this on an initial phase, the dating phase, then what I would do would, instead of trying to convince him, explain him, what are the benefits, etc., I would actually respect and honor his preferences, whatever place it comes from them. Because, some men, they might say this because they had past relationship issues, even provider wounds. That means that, for example, when they try to be when they try to provide for women in the past, like buying flowers, paying for, planning for dates, and the women didn't show appreciation, there might be times that they might feel used for those things, then they might have resistance. But anyways, there can be many reasons why a man might prefer to have a more equal relationship where the woman also brings in the masculine energy of planning things, etc., etc. And some are healthier and some might be requiring some healing. But in any ways, if it is just the initial dating phase, I wouldn't try to convince them, or try to override their free will. Okay, and I'll just respect it. And yeah, okay, we are not really aligned in what we want and desire in the relationship. So we just let each other go so they can find better aligned partners. And I can also find the juicier masculine energy that I really desire for relationships. But now, if you are in a long-term relationship, which is very, very common problem, like many women, they are actually tired and drained in some long-term relationships, marriages, of how they are the ones often planning for things, initiating things, oh, let's go to the restaurant, etc., etc., taking care of the things, while the man is already in a more passive state. And they are more checked out. They just let the woman deal with things. They let the woman take the lead. And if you're in this kind of dynamic, then sending those articles, videos, etc., actually backfires, because you need to fix the foundation in the relationship first. Because usually when there is this dynamic, frustrated woman taking care of everything, initiating everything, fixing everything, while the man is passive, like doesn't really take initiative or anything, this usually needs to fix the foundation first before you can, do improvement, let's say. So what happens is in these kind of scenarios, why it is important to fix the foundation is that when you're in this pattern, and especially if you have been arguing with each other, and you often have disagreements that leads to nowhere, but more frustration, and you don't feel seen, heard, and probably him too, actually, then your brains are already wired to react defensively, even if subconsciously, even if subtly, your brain is already wired to react with hesitation, resistance, defensiveness, even. So, any suggestion or talking about things would actually worsen it because there is no natural receptivity, openness to actually receive and respond to what each other wants, desires, and needs. So you need to fix that, which is like fixing the emotional safety, like feeling safe each other to express without judgment, without unsolicited advice, without the other person wanting to fix you or, have you out of certain emotional states. For example, if a woman feels like she cannot express herself emotionally, then it is not an emotional safe space. If a man cannot express himself without having unsolicited advice, without having, oh, you should have done this, etc., why you're not doing this, then there's no emotional safe space. And people tend to feel like they have to wear an armor, a mask, be defensive against the other person. And then if you don't have the healthy masculine and feminine polarity, meaning that in this case, like the woman is already taking the lead, she is taking the space of the masculine so that the man doesn't have any space to step up. And because she cannot trust him to take care of things properly, to lead things properly, then she is the one taking the lead. And then the man would just go into this spiral also of, okay, whatever I do might not be right, and I better not do. Whatever I do, she might not be happy, then I better not do anything. And she would also be in this spiral like, oh, he never does anything correctly. I have to, take care of everything myself. It's always the same. You see, it is feeding this spiral. So you need to fix the emotional safety and the masculine and feminine polarity, because when you are able to fix all this and you start to have a better space between you, you will naturally be more open, be more receptive towards each other. Okay, and if you want to know more about how to fix the emotional safety and the foundations of the relationships, I have a video for that I think that I recorded some time ago. I'm going to put it on the description box, so you might want to check that out. And when you fix that and you have more receptivity, then you can start to do the improvement. And how do you actually do the improvement, right? Because how you communicate to the other person has a big influence on how receptive they feel about your needs, your desires. So what I would suggest are two main things. And the first one, which is very important, okay, is before you talk to him. For example, let's say that you want him to plan dates. Before you talk to him, it's important for you to sit with yourself, because you have to be very careful of the energy that you bring to him when you express something, okay? So you have to sit with yourself and really ask, am I really feeling that I deserve a man who plans dates? Because I can tell you that if you're not sure about it, And if you are weird, you have a weirdness around it, like, oh, maybe I shouldn't, desire him to plan dates. Maybe it's too much. Maybe I'm asking too much. The too much thing is one of the very common inner wounds in women in the feminine. Okay, so if you don't have this certainty, energy of certainty, then when you go to him and you try to express it, because humans are mirroring animals, he will feel your discomfort in a certain level by your body language, your tone of voice, and he will start to feel this discomfort that you're feeling now by the power of empathy in humans, because we are wired that way for that capacity. He will feel weird without him even knowing what's going on. And because he feels uncomfortable, now he subconsciously wants to fix the situation so that he won't feel this discomfort. And now he wants to fix the source of the discomfort, which is you. So now he will try to talk you out of it. Like, oh, like I already do a lot of things. Why would you bring this up? I'm already like showing lots of love and care for you in other ways, etc., etc. So he will try to talk you out of it without him even understanding where it comes from. And now you feel even more unseen and unheard. However, when you sit with yourself and understand that, it's fully valid for you to embrace this desire, okay? Because your female brain, desires assurance that he still cares, that he still shows you that he is there for your desires and needs. And it is important to understand that until decades ago, as women, our survival always depended on someone else, whether it is our families, fathers, or when we get married, our spouses. We always depended on someone else for survival. So our brain is wired to, detect any problems in relationships so that we can fix it and make sure that our survival is granted. Because if the other person, if our husbands like us, then there is better survival chances. Like, this is in the past, but you see, we don't just change the wiring of our brains and our biology in a few decades, okay? So our brain still looks for assurance, and it is totally okay. It is totally okay to desire a man who takes the lead, who takes care of things. While you can be more in your feminine essence, then you can, bring in more this juiciness, the emotional closeness. But desiring him to have the masculine container for you, it is completely valid. But many women nowadays, they are afraid of being too much, that their needs and desires are too much, because we have so many things nowadays that talks us out of these desires and needs, which are very valid. Okay, so you need to first sit with yourself, really do the inner work, and come to terms and really embrace what you need and desire. Because I can tell you that when you are more certain of wanting and desiring dates, you can go to him and express it in a way that is totally beautiful and even intoxicating to him. Okay, so imagine you going to him and say, hey honey, I saw this restaurant on Instagram. Look at all this, like, isn't it amazing? The decoration, the food, it looks really tasty. And I love for you to take me to this restaurant someday. Can we go there someday? So when you are certain of your needs and desires, there's no weirdness about it. There's no, I must convince him and explain him why it is important, etc., etc. And of course, you might not say this, but it's all in your subconscious that if you don't feel that you have the, validity for asking for these things, but you still want this, you will come at him in a very, trying to convince him of, doing what you desire. But if you fully own it and then you express it in a form of invitation and not demand, and in random occasions when you are actually having a good ambience with each other, then this invitation is like a preview for a very pleasurable, enjoyable moment with you. And that is what really drives him to want to provide things for you. And of course, when the foundation is fixed, when there is emotional safety and, masculine feminine polarity attraction and then closeness, then anything that you ask for is like a further invitation for him to actually step up and want to give you more of it, so that he also gets to experience more of, the joy, the pleasure, the satisfaction of satisfying you. So you see, don't try to correct him, don't try to make demands through another article, another video to send to him, because if you want him to see those videos and etc., you cannot force it. You can only hope that those similar videos can one day arrive in his social media feeds, like maybe, because there are actually lots of those videos from coaches that helps men to save their marriages, relationships by tapping into their masculine energy. And those are the videos that he could find out by himself. And men, and actually men, women, they don't like it when they feel that it's the other person's idea for them to change. Everyone prefers that the idea of needing to change comes from them. And the most you can do is to give them an invitation, like an invitation, inspiration, so that you can inspire or invite them to step up. But at the end of the day, don't try to override their free will, because their feelings can be very valid as well. They might actually have certain feelings or certain hesitations that blocks them from, feeling that they can give those things for you. And it is also important that they have the safe emotional space to be honest, to be allowed to express how they feel at the end of the day about these things. And then let them make the decision, like let them see what they really want to do, so that you know that when they do that, it's not because they are forced, right? It's because they actually want it. It's just like so many men, they complain nowadays online about, oh, there's no intimacy in the marriage, relationship, etc., etc. But then they cannot really force women to do those things. And it is more special for men as well when the woman want to do those things by their own desires as well, and not because they are forced to. Okay? So, if you find these contents useful, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. And my name is Monica, and I am the teacher and mentor in the Blooming Feminine Academy.